Shang Tsung, Scorpion, Shao Kahn, Raiden, Sub-Zero. Come here!
Your spine will shiver. Yes. I'm simply too fast.
The void begins. Death comes for all. Dream of nightmares. Beware the shadows. Outstanding. 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 You suck. Don't make me laugh. Impressive.
Welcome back, everybody, to episode number 8 of the MK Mobile Podcast. It is just me, GTG, flying solo on this episode. And what do you think about this song? That's right. I put that together. I figured I kind of need an intro song, and I like the way it turned out. So that is what I'm going to use for every intro to every new episode. So hopefully you like it. I kind of like it. But here we go, guys. Episode 8. 6 years and a Sorcerer's Tower. I think that's what I'm going to name this, the title of this episode, because I have officially reached 6 years of playing this game. I've been tapping on that black mirror, tapping on that glass for 6+ years by this point. But anyways, we will get into that near the end of this episode. The main focus of this is going to be about the Sorcerer's Tower. But before we get into that, there's a little bit of news we should probably mention. Classic Jade is now available. That was one of the new characters. I think everybody kind of knew that she was already available, or that she was coming. Not that she was available, but that she was coming. So she is now available in the store. And obviously, you guys, this is a business, so it was no surprise to me to see that her pack was actually available for $10, but you only had 20% chance of getting her. So my theory or my belief on those types of marketing and those types of packs, I try not to play into those because I don't like buying things that aren't for sure. That's just kind of a good lesson in life, really, for everyone. So I try not to do that. I will wait till she's available for souls, or if you can actually get a solid copy of her, that would be worth it for me because I know what I'm getting. So anyways, she is available. She looks pretty cool. With the release of her, I really have a feeling that, or just a sense that they may be coming out with a classic tower in the future here. I would love to see a classic tower. I've said this in the last couple episodes, even in some of the videos that I put out, but a classic tower would be amazing, especially if they could actually put the old school graphics in for the boss fights. I'm not talking just the retrocade background, but the actual MK1 background with even the health bars, the way they go down, just everything, the timer at the top. If they could somehow replicate that, or even just a semi version of that, I think that would be amazing and just kind of really honor the history of Mortal Kombat. Not to mention, for a classic tower, you almost have to do something like that, in my opinion. Another thing to get kind of off before we start down that Sorcerer's Tower road is my uploads and my schedule are so messed up. You're probably wondering why it's been so long since I've been able to put one of these episodes out. I just have a really busy life, you guys. Apologize for that. This is something I love to do. I love to try to get out and communicate with all you guys and put out awesome content that hopefully you're enjoying. But yeah, I just have a busy life. Obviously, I have family that comes first before anything. Then I have my full-time job, which comes second. And then I'm also trying to start a coffee store with my wife. So that is another thing that I'm taking on. But then, of course, I do have this passion that I love to do. So unfortunately, this kind of takes the backseat while I'm, working through those other things. But anyways, just thought I'd kind of reach out to you guys just so you weren't lost on what the hell have I been doing all this time. No, I've been busting my butt. But anyways, let's get past that. Now you know. And now we are on to the Sorcerer's Tower. It ends on June 10th. We got that notification a while back, and yeah, I just kind of wanted to go through my review of it basically. So what teams was I using? What were some of my strategies? What were some of the really annoying fights? And what were my rewards? Like, were they good, bad? We'll get into that. But let's first start off by talking about the teams that I used. Now, with every tower, I'm not really sure what characters are going to work the best as I climb up that tower. But for this one, I kind of stuck with an MK11 crew mainly. And actually, you guys, I split my teams up into two different groups. So I had one team that I used strictly for non-boss fights. It found out it worked really well. And then I actually evolved another team, or just learned from listening to other players and trying things on my own, that there was a second team I used for boss fights. So we're going to start off by talking about the team that I used for my non-boss fights, and that consisted of all MK11 characters: MK11 Sub-Zero, MK11 Raiden, and MK11 Jade. Now, they all worked pretty well together, and that is the passives. The passives were really what saved me. So let's start talking about that. So obviously Sub-Zero's is Polar Vortex. Now, with that, he is going to induce Frostbite every 8 seconds. But what really, really helped was the Ice Clone that he supplies to each of the other characters. That is really what saved me, because there were some modifiers in some of those higher fights that were like, it only takes one, and those Ice Clones had saved me a lot of times. The only time that it really didn't save me a lot were if it was like a Day of the Dead group, and that counted as revive, and so they start healing, but that wasn't too bad. Okay, so some of the equipment that I was using with MK11 Sub-Zero, obviously I had my Quietlying Scepter on there. I had Living Dead armor attached to him just in case he got his health down there where he got knocked out. He would come back. I would have that ability to come back and still have my Ice Clones for the other two characters. One of the best pieces of equipment, one of the best uncommons in the game, the Ice Bomb. I always started with him equipped with that, so that really helped out. That was just some of the equipment that I had on him. Now, going on to team member number 2, that was MK11 Raiden with his passive, Relentless God. The 50% stun on Combo Under was really nice to have, because it works really well. It works really well. In fact, when you do stun an opponent with his stun, you have a chance to go through 2 basic attacks, basically, so you can charge up your power before that other character is going to get out of that stun phase. So that's pretty nice. But the biggest thing was immunity to power drain. Having the ability to not lose power when they're trying to siphon it from you is awesome. So he worked really well. I had his brutality gear equipped to him, which worked out pretty good, because I was able to have a brutal ending in quite a few matches. So it was just nice to have that ability when the other characters got down to a certain health level to initiate the brutality if I needed it. The third and probably most valuable character on that non-boss fight team is MK11 Jade. She is just a beast. Just an insane beast. Her passive, Embracing the Shadow, is just amazing. So she has a 25% chance to dodge basic attacks. On top of that, I also gave her the Varen's Jacket, so now she has ability to even evade more attacks. So she was invisible for most of the fight, is what it seemed like. But the best part of her passive that really helped my team out, because of 2 new modifiers, which I'll talk about here in a second, was the Reverse DOT. So her plus her teammates heal from damage over time. That does not count for dark magic, by the way, just for damage over time. And the reason it was so valuable was because we had 2 new modifiers, one of them being Toxic Bomb, which is your whole active character is affected by poison damage time until the bomb goes off, and then that damages all characters. When that happens, they just start healing, which is awesome. So that helped out. And then the next one being Inferno. Now, I don't think this modifier was there for the Shira Ryu Tower. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought this was new. Anyways, basically, your tagged in character is affected by fire damage over time every few seconds. So really, in all, that actually helped my characters more than it hurt them. So that was my strategy. I mean, I just started off with MK11 Sub-Zero, hitting them hard with that Ice Bomb and Quietlying Scepter, and he also had Shao Kahn's hammer, the Wrath Hammer, so he would immediately hit them hard with an SP2. Then I would tag in Raiden. He would just do most of the damage, honestly. I think he did most of the damage throughout the whole entire non-boss fight matches. And then obviously Jade would come in and just finish him off. And Snare. Snare was so huge, especially with those health regen fights. Snare was an absolute must. So that was my team in the non-boss fight matches. Now, going on to boss fights. Now, boss fights, I tried my MK11 team, and you would think in your head that that should take care of a boss fight. If you can take care of any of those other ones and how well they just work together with their synergy, it actually didn't. I was really surprised. Just the amount of damage I was doing just wasn't enough to take on even like fight 60 of the Fatal Tower. It just wasn't doing enough. So I had to change it up, and I took a page straight out of Man with No Game 45 playbook, and I put together a team of Injustice 2 Raiden and Classic Liu Kang, and then I added in Classic Ermac. Now, Classic Ermac is just kind of like an unsung hero of this team because his passive Soul Siphon just did crazy amount of damage in the background. That's where his magic works. It just does damage over and over and over to those bosses, and by the time they tag in, you don't have as much work to do. Now, I'm not going to say it's like a game changer by any means, but it definitely alleviates the pain of having like them come in fully charged up. So basically, if you've seen Man with No Game's fights using this team, then you kind of know the tactic that I use. But basically, in Injustice 2 Raiden, you get up to his SP2, and you just snare that opponent, as well as doing damage to the other characters. So you're kind of doing double damage over time to everyone just because of his SP2 plus Ermac special. Then you work them over with Injustice 2 Raiden for a while. You get Classic Liu Kang in there and get up to his SP2 and just drop the hammer, literally, and just crush them with crazy critical damage. I should say that I did build my talent tree to buff up and to really help me with my critical hit damage. So that really helped play into this team as well. So I had it before where it was helping me with like frozen opponents, and it just wasn't really doing much. So I kind of geared it towards this team. But anyway, so Classic Liu Kang gets in there, does some crazy amount of damage. Then if you have to, get Classic Ermac in there. His SP2 also snares, does a crazy amount of damage as well. And if he gets hit and gets taken out, then oh well, he does damage on his way out. So really a solid team. It was working really good for me, and I will forever probably keep that in my teams to use whenever the Sorcerer's Tower comes around again. So with that, let's get into the different fights that were kind of annoying, I should say. So there were a couple that stuck out really well for me. 60 actually on the Fatal was my first taste of what the other tower or other fights were going to be. 60 was pretty hard for being below 100. I thought 60 was pretty hard. That was only the first time up. Now, obviously, you kind of learn as you go up the next couple times how to defeat it, but that was my first taste. The main one being 160 Fatal. That thing was just a pain in the ass. If you don't remember, it was all Black Dragon. You had Aaron Black, Cabal, and Tremor. And Aaron Black was probably between him. Actually, they all were. I was gonna say Aaron Black was probably the worst, but they all were. They were all a pain in the ass. You just couldn't get them down to a health where you could take care of them because they were healing by doing damage because of the equipment that they had on. So the first one, I think it took me 11 times. It was just pathetic. I was pretty mad. And this might be a good time just to mention too, like the frustration level that some of these fights can bring you, for me anyways, can be crazy. Like for whatever reason, I just get really mad. And I did some research and I listened to some other podcasts, and I found out that in these games, in really all kind of mobile games, there's a level of difficulty that needs to be present for them to make money. So in this version for MK Mobile, in the towers, there will be fights that kind of put the brakes on the average player, put a little difficulty and a little friction. And what they're trying to do is push you to buy equipment. Now, it might be pretty obvious to a lot of you that that's what's happening, but if you get a chance, this is pretty interesting. If you get a chance, there is another podcast out there called the Mobile Game Dev Playbook. Take a listen to that, especially episode number 10, Game Economy Design and Monetization with the Mobile Game Doctor. That is really going to put a lot of things in perspective as far as why you're seeing these difficult matches, why they're marketing these packs to you the way they do, and it just really opened up the whole view of mobile games to me in a way that I'd never seen before. So if you take a look at that, it might help out. So Just throwing that out there. So 160, obviously, was a pain in the ass. Another one, 195. That actually seemed pretty hard too. Circle Shadow Jax Briggs, Circle Shadow Quan Chi, or Tournament Quan Chi as I remember him, and Black Dragon Aaron Black. That one, the modifiers were health regeneration and they were enraged. So this was a really good reason to have MK11 Jade and that snare available, because you could get them down to a certain health, they might tag out, and then by the time they tag back in, they're back at full health. So you have to have that snare available so you can lock them in, take them down slowly, and then get to the next one and repeat that process. We're lucky that the modifier wasn't a time, because that would have really screwed me up. But anyways, those were two that were really recognizable for me, that were kind of pain in the ass. Now I will say, like, anything basically above 180 could have been viewed as that if you didn't have a strong roster, or if you're kind of a new player. But for the veteran players, I think those were two maybe that stuck out for most people, definitely for me. So let's move on to rewards. Now I will say, rewards weren't too bad in my case. I know they're different for everyone, but you guys, I got 2 random epic drops. I don't think that's ever happened on any tower ever that I played, and I played all the towers. I've heard of people even getting, 4 random epic drops? That's crazy. My uncommons were maxed by the 3rd round up. I think that was probably the same for everyone. I got all but 1 rare maxed, and it was the Viper Hood. So I really want to get that Viper Hood maxed if it's possible before the end of the tower, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. And tons of gold card sellbacks. So, I mean, I saw so many gold cards that for the average player would really help them. Oh, and not to mention rare equipment. Not tower specific rare equipment, but just rare equipment in general. Ton of sellbacks on that too. So hopefully that would help a player that was needing those equipment pieces, getting them. All right, so what else? Okay, I finally maxed out Classic Goro. I got him at the end of 200. He's maxed out. That was a thing I've been wanting to do for a couple of years now, so that was nice. I got a Noob Saibot on normal 200, so I'll take that. I mean, he's hard to get for me because I don't have time to play Survivor Mode or Faction Wars. Let's see. Oh, and I finally did get Shang Tsung. He did appear. I will have one more chance to try to get him while I'm recording this, but we'll see if he appears. I got a lot of sellbacks from Fatal 200, so. But anyways, I was glad to get that. I did get all of the equipment to do the brutalities for both Shang Tsung and Reptile. I do like the brutalities. I think they're pretty cool. It's fun to see those. But yeah, so overall, I think it was a pretty fun tower overall. It was definitely better than the Cold War tower. I will say that, as far as difficulty and as far as rewards. So hopefully we can kind of see that repeated in the next tower, which again, you guys, I think might be the Classic Tower. I'm just saying. I don't know anything about that, but it could be a Classic Tower, or maybe a Strike Force Tower. Okay, so going on 6 years, you guys. I have been playing this crazy game for 6 years, 2,190 days, and that was back on April 10th. So now it's June whatever. So yeah, June 6th today. So yeah, even longer by now. But I've had a ton of fun playing this game, meeting a ton of cool people from all over the world, and it's just been a blast. And I guess some of the main things that kind of like stick out for me are obviously meeting you guys and gals and talking to you. Another thing that I really enjoyed doing over these last 6 years are making just like the funny kind of stupid videos that I do. One of them in particular is the one about Store Wars. So if you're a veteran to this game, you remember what it was like pre 2.0. So when that happened, that changed a lot of the players' opinions about the game and the way that they perceive the game. So the best way for me to kind of like explain it for what I was feeling was happening was to put it in a stupid video, and that's exactly what I did. So if you get a chance, maybe check that out. It's on my YouTube channel. Just look for maybe I'll put the link to it in this video. But if you go to my channel, Gametimegaming, you can find it. It's called Mortal Kombat Mobile WTF happened. So what happened? Store Wars. So check that out. It's kind of just a play on what I kind of think happened or transpired. But with that, I think that's going to wrap this episode up. Hopefully, we should have news of what's coming next here pretty soon. Obviously, there's going to be a new tower. I'm going to expect some more characters, I'm going to imagine. And yeah, I think we're going to get some more classic characters. That's my guess. They're gearing up to something to do with classics. If I were to put money on it, that's what I'm putting down. So you guys and gals, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the MK Mobile Podcast. And stay tuned because I will try to get more out as soon as possible. My goal, actually, you guys, my goal would be to do one every week. Now, I think that's probably not going to happen, but it's something to shoot for, right? So with that, everybody, thank you all for listening, and we will catch you on the next one. Bye. Thanks for listening, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the MK Mobile Podcast. The MK Mobile Podcast can be found on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify. And if you like this content, don't forget to subscribe to me on YouTube as well as follow me on Twitter at GametimeGaming1, where you'll find MK Mobile information, gameplay, and more.